Pablo Escobar once burned $2 million in cash. Not to show off, not for a music video, not to prove a point to his enemies. To keep his daughter warm while they were hiding on the run. Let that sink in for a second. $2 million on fire as heating fuel. Now, before we go any further, what Escobar did was illegal. It was violent. It was destructive. It cost thousands of innocent lives and left an entire country traumatized for generations. We are not here to celebrate that, not even close. But inside that mind, and inside the minds of people who operate in that world, lives a financial and psychological intelligence that is so raw, so unfiltered, and so brutally effective that it reveals things about money and human behavior that no classroom will ever teach you. Today, we go inside that mind, not to glorify it, to understand it. Because what lives in there might be the most honest mirror ever held up to the relationship between money, power, and psychology. Let's get into it. Strip away the illegal product for just a moment and look at the structure underneath it. Because what you will find is a business operation that would make most MBA graduates uncomfortable, not because it is foreign, because it is familiar. Supply chains. Escobar didn't just sell cocaine, he engineered one of the most sophisticated logistics operations in the world. Sourcing, processing, packaging, transportation, distribution across multiple countries under constant threat of law enforcement. Demand management. At the peak of his operation, his cartel was supplying 80% of the world's cocaine. That is not luck. That is market dominance through product consistency and distribution control. Territory. Every corner, every city, every region operated like a franchise, with rules, with expectations, with consequences for underperformance. Cash flow management. At one point, Escobar was generating so much cash that rats were eating approximately $500 million a year in stored bills, and he wrote it off as a business expense. Here is what that tells us about psychology and money. The hunger to build, to scale, to dominate a market, that instinct does not care what the product is. It is a financial mind operating at full capacity in the only environment it was given access to. The question that should haunt all of us is, what environment were they given? Here is something that psychology research has confirmed repeatedly. The human brain does not process risk the same way under prolonged exposure. The first time you do something dangerous, your body floods with cortisol, your hands shake, your heart races, every alarm system fires at once. The 10th time, less. The 100th time, it becomes Tuesday. This is called desensitization, and in the world of drug dealing, it is not a side effect. It is a requirement for survival. To operate at the level Escobar operated, to make calm, calculated decisions while being hunted by governments, rivals, and law enforcement simultaneously, your brain has to rewire its relationship with danger completely. And here is where the money psychology becomes fascinating. That same rewiring that allows someone to function under extreme threat also rewires their relationship with financial risk. People who have normalized physical danger find financial risk almost laughably small by comparison. Investing, starting a business, betting on yourself, these things terrify the average person. But someone whose baseline for risk is life and death, they will make financial moves the average person would never attempt. It is not courage, it is a recalibrated nervous system. And that recalibration, applied legally, is one of the most powerful financial advantages a human being can possess. In the legal world, betrayal costs you money, a bad business partner, an honest employee, a broken contract. In the world we are talking about today, betrayal costs you your life. And that single difference changes the entire psychology of trust. When the stakes are that high, every human interaction becomes a psychological calculation. Every conversation is analyzed. Every loyalty is tested. Every relationship carries a weight that most people will never experience in any business environment. Escobar was famous for a phrase that translates simply as silver or lead. You take the bribe or you take the bullet. That was not cruelty for cruelty's sake. That was a man who had built an empire on the understanding that loyalty cannot be assumed. It must be enforced or purchased. The psychological toll of operating in that reality is staggering. You cannot fully trust your partners. You cannot fully trust your family. You cannot fully trust the people who smile at you every day because you know better than anyone what a smile can be hiding. Studies on high-level criminal operators consistently show extreme paranoia, hypervigilance, and an inability to form genuine emotional bonds. And here is the dark irony. The richest man in the room is often the most alone. This is the part that connects most directly to everyday money psychology, and I want you to hear this carefully. Fast money is a drug, independently of where it comes from. When money arrives faster than the mind can psychologically process, it does not create freedom, it creates dependency, and it creates an identity crisis that is almost impossible to escape. Here is what happens inside the mind. The fast money funds a lifestyle. The lifestyle becomes the identity becomes the trap. Because now leaving the money doesn't just mean losing the income, it means losing who you are. The cars, the status, the respect, the feeling of power, the sense that you matter in a room. Escobar at his peak was making an estimated $21 billion a year, but even when given opportunities to step away, he couldn't. Not because of greed alone, because the money and the identity had fused into one thing. Removing the money meant removing himself. Psychologists call this identity fusion, and it happens across every income level and every industry. The hedge fund manager who can't retire, the hustler who can't slow down, the dealer who knows exactly what comes next but cannot stop. The psychological prison of fast money is not built from the outside, it is built entirely from within. This is the part I want you to leave you sitting with. Escobar built a multinational operation from nothing, with no startup capital, no investors, no legal protection, no safety net of any kind. He navigated governments, militaries, rivals, and international law enforcement simultaneously for over a decade. In Medellin, he built housing for the poor, funded community programs, and constructed infrastructure that the government had neglected for years. Not because he was a good man, but because he understood something every great business operator understands. Control the community, and the community protects you. That is not just straight logic. That is brand strategy, community investment, stakeholder management. The same mind that built a criminal empire in a different environment, with different access, with different opportunities presented at a different moment. What does that build? Research on incarcerated individuals with high-level criminal enterprise experience consistently shows off-the-chart scores in strategic thinking, risk assessment, leadership, and resource management. The talent was never the problem. The environment was. And that should make every single one of us ask a very uncomfortable question about the systems we have built, about who they include, who they exclude, and what we have lost because of it. Because the most expensive thing in the world is not a failed business, it's a brilliant mind that was never given a legitimate door to walk through.